Good morning, YouTubers. My subscribers, thank you very much for following me, and I hope that your channel is also doing well. You know, most people have a YouTube channel or TikTok or, you know, something else, WhatsApp. So guys, today I just wanted to bring something to the front that's actually happened to me on Saturday. I mean, it's just put it down to experience of one sort or another, but I think sometimes, unless you express what it is that you experience, wherever that happens to be, then it stays pretty much personal. And this one isn't personal because it is, should we say, kind of like an open discussion, which I spoke to the person, and I said I'm probably going to put it on my YouTube, and she said okay, you know, and I think she was traumatized in many ways, so for her it was just a case of maybe just putting her thoughts to me so that I can express this for her as best as I can. Anyway, here we are. It was Saturday. Today's Monday. It was Saturday. Oh, by the way, yeah, happy Monday. Yeah, okay. So Saturday we met by chance in a restaurant or in a food court, which is like about a kilometer away from here. Now, I was just doing my stuff, editing stuff as I usually do, and this woman sat across from me at one of these like bar-style restaurant table, and it's more of a communal kind of like table, like a desk type thing. Anyway, she kept looking up at me all the time, and she's directly in front of me. She kept looking up at me and staring at me for a long time, and I'm kind of seeing her in my periphery, but I wasn't even going to go there. I just know that sometimes you get bogged down with people and you end up just getting distracted doing what you're supposed to do from what you were supposed to do. Anyway, it's like about half an hour into this session of me doing my stuff. The conversation broke open because she says, are you Filipino? I said, no, I'm not. I said, maybe I look for Filipino. Many people mistake me for that. And they started to talk to me in Tagalog or Bisaya. And I said, no, I'm not. I said, I only know salamat, which is thank you, you know. She says, oh, all right. And then we broke into a conversation more and more. I said, where are you from? She said, well, I was in Ireland. I'm a citizen of Ireland. She's a Filipino, but she's a citizen of Ireland. So this extended the conversation, or it took us down another path. I said, so why are you here then? Why are you back here? She said, no, I've been here since last year. And apparently the reason for her return to the Philippines was primarily to take flack from the family and to also, should we say, get away from a situation that really took her completely financially demoralized her and removed all her finances, and the family's invested in finances that she had with this business adventure that she was taking on board when she was in Ireland. So yeah, so what happened was, as I come to understand, is that she got to know a restaurant owner stroke bar owner in Dublin, and in Dublin this person has been running this bar, this pub, for like probably 3-4 years, and she was doing this prior to being in Dublin. She was in another part of Ireland doing another business there. So her and her husband, this third person, her and her husband, she's a Filipino and her husband's Australian. I'm not sure he's Australian Filipino, but he's Australian. Take it on that premise. But it was like, she says, somehow after spending some time with them and discussing, and like, you know, she's been there like 4 or 5 years, so she's kind of understand the ins and outs of how they operate, people in Ireland, and she's part of the community, same as these other people. But anyway, it came to a situation where it's like, we have a business opportunity that we probably might be interesting to you, which is like to invest in updating the bar and improving the facilities and the menu, etc. Right, all the stuff that comes with running a bar. So she kind of didn't want to do it, but then she saw that this person or persons were quite established publicans, right? And they knew their shit, apparently so. That's what she kind of like understood it to be. So in the end, she told her family back here in the Philippines, which is in Manila, here they are, and I think some of them are spread out in different parts of the Philippines, that this was a good opportunity, and that because these people were established, they were Filipinos and an Australian, all had the right kind of the metrics for a business, especially as an established publican, right? So they all said, yeah, it's okay. If you think it's okay, yeah, let's invest in it. So whatever money they transferred to her and her own savings she has, because she was working there as I think she was in a nurse or something as well, is that she invested in that. I said, did you not draft up any kind of like, an agreements and so? She said, well, it was like kind of an agreement, but it wasn't really an official agreement. Instantly I thought, okay, I see where this is going. The telltale signs were there, the flag was there, as a third party looking in on the conversation. Excuse me guys, noisy bikes. A lot of idiots with noisy bikes around here, like they lack some sort of self-esteem or something. Anyway, I digress. And so she did. She went ahead and invested in this adventure capitalist, if you want to call it, adventure, investment. So it was a situation then that she had to come back to the Philippines to deal with some other family issues. So she came back in 2025, early 25, agreeing with them, they can run the business, let them run the business, her investment's going to be paid. And actually she was saying they were paying her X amount of money every month because of her investment. Like whatever the money they made, she had like benefits from that, should say commission or whatever you want to call it, right? Payback for her investment on a monthly basis. So once she was here like 5-6 months, that started to piss her off. It started to disappear. So she contacted them and said, look, what's happening? They said, oh, we're having a bit of hard times, but we'll continue to pay next month, whatever. So she won with that. Next month comes, same thing, no money. Then she tries to contact them. She has a UK number, so she was trying to use that through Viber or one of those other facilities like that, right? Maybe international call. Anyway, she was trying for like a week, no reply. Tried again the following week, still no reply. The phone just kept ringing, nobody picked it up. So finally, through some form of another, she tried calling another friend there, and the friend said, oh well, the pub's closed. The pub is no longer under the ownership of those people, that the two people, the Australian and her own Philippine woman. So she said, well, that can't be, I've invested money and they were established, they were running. She said, no. And the woman said, no, the pub is no longer, it's closed. I think it's going to be put on sale for some other new contractor or new publican to come in and take over. She was blown away because now she had to tell her family that she can't contact this woman and there was no money coming in from her investment. What happens to this is the weirdest thing, because to me I always imagine that Filipinos and this projection they give that family matters. Family is everything. We stand by you, whatever happens, there's a problem, we deal with it. When things are good, we don't. That is not the case. I mean, certainly in this case. But from actually another scenario, last year I met another person here, they had the same problem where the family scolded them. They kind of ejected them from the family unit. They kind of like stopped talking to them, accused them, harassed them, even trying to take them to court. Yeah. So what she was facing with now is the family totally castigated her. They've removed her from everything. They kicked her out of the house where the family house is, where she came to live with the family, where she was staying for 6 months, 7 months. Now she is on her own. I'm not sure where she's staying. She didn't want to talk about it, but she's either staying with another friend or living on the street, so I don't know. But she looks to me really completely broken. She started to well up about this because we were talking to the family. She said the family don't want to I said, why doesn't the family help? You know, there must be someone, your sister, brothers. She said, no, all of them have taken sides that I failed them. And because I failed them, they don't want to know me. They've just excommunicated me. They kicked me to the curb. They've just abandoned me. She said, I don't even have any money left if I want to go back to Ireland to continue my job. I don't have the funds, because she used the funds to come here. And of course, with the money coming in from those couple in Ireland, stopped 3 months ago, she's used that to help give the family money while she's staying here. And now there's no money. She's got no funds. She doesn't have a job here, which she's now looking for a job. She's 43, 44. How to find a job at that age, I have no idea. So she's in a situation, she's got no revenue, she's got no job, she doesn't have a place to live unless she's staying temporarily with a friend or something. She didn't talk about it. And the family has just excommunicated her, completely blocking her. They don't want to talk to her for anything. So she's wandering around here in Manila, just trying to find places to do things. And every time we spoke, and you could see her welling up. I ended up giving her some tissue I had. And I say, look, you know, this really blows me away, because I had such a strong indication from everything I spoke here, except for the last situation where someone told me they had a problem. I thought it was a one-off. Apparently not. This is something that Filipinos do. When things are going good, they're on your side, they hug you, kiss you, treat you, well, you know, in adulation, you know. But when something goes wrong, man, they want to kick the hell out of you. They want to just abandon you. They abandon you. They just don't want to know, and they don't even want to get you explaining what happened and appreciate you did it for certain reasons. She did this telling them, you know, look, I think this is going to be good. This is an established family. I want to work with them and we could make some money. They were good with that. If that was making money and producing an outcome, they would be her friends. They would do everything as a family. Everybody wave. Oh yes, right. Everything's hunky-dory. Now it goes wrong. They don't want to know. They're not in her corner. They just don't want to know. So I said, so what are you going to do? She said, well, I'm going upstairs. In all these malls here in the Philippines, they've got pretty much most of them. They've got like a communion hall where people do. They have the priest will do their stuff. There's like a mini church, a church within the mall, but it's not a church, you know. And every evening and every weekend they have masses and stuff. So she goes there, and I think for her it's just a sense of finding some comfort, because there's no other comfort from where I can see, from what she's saying me. And I said, so look, what's your plan? She said, I really don't know. I said, unless I find a job, I'm screwed. And she said, I can't go back to Ireland because I don't have the funds. I said, what's the kind of cost for that? She says, you must be looking, especially now with the oil crisis and everything else in the Persian Gulf, the prices keep going up. It's like about 1,500 one way. And that's probably going to keep going up probably to 2,000 with all the aviation fuel problems. I said, look, I really don't know what to say. And I said, personally, I don't have that money. I don't have that. I'm going to go back in maybe the end of the year. But, you know, I have to save up myself. I can't even do that right now. You know, my funds and my finances are tied up in things. And she said, oh, it's a pity. She said, it's a shame I couldn't go back with you when you go. And I said, well, you know, I can't pay for you. You know, I just can't do it. I've got my own commitments. And again, she wells up about talking about her possibilities, which is pretty much zero. So guys, you know, this is something that we all need to understand, that family are as bad as friends, as bad as business acquaintances or agreements you make with anyone else. If anything, they're worse. Family will be more brutal than somebody in a business, or some friends who you thought were friends and they just eject you as soon as something comes along. They become fair weather friends, as in fair weather family. So, you know, just be aware that if you come here, or you've got a Filipino girlfriend or a wife or something, you could be finding yourself in a very similar boat, especially if she has issues with them or something goes wrong and they're dependent on you to assist them out of any situation. They're happy to laugh and smile and be your friend and pat you on the back and go and have a nice social evening with you out. But I think, to be honest, and I don't blame them totally. It's to do with finances, it's to do with wealth, it's to do with poverty. And these people been struggling for decades like this. So I don't hold it against them for being like that, but I do hold it against them for not looking after your own family, you know. And it's just pitiful, really. But it certainly showed me a very different picture of how it doesn't, what's on the tin isn't on the tin over here. And what they preach about religion and family matters and importance doesn't matter. Religion serves a purpose to keep the poverty and the low class and those without money controlled. The churches here look very rich, all inside looks nice, outside is well managed and, you know, and well maintained. And just outside that front door of that church, what have you got? Poverty. People sitting out on the market streets there, sitting out on the front of the church, can't feed themselves, young kids running around with no shoes on, just seeing the church as a measure of security, of comfort. And they've been walked down the river. They set sail down the river without a paddle, in this belief that something better is going to come, maybe here or the afterlife. I have no idea, but something, you know, is never going to put this right. And Christianity to me is a rip-off. Christianity, I have no interest in it anymore. I mean, years ago I was a Catholic back in my country in Latin America. I was a page boy, and when I grew up I realized and I saw that things is never as it's painted. White people demonstrate that Christianity, right, is just a tool to beat poverty and the impoverished. It's just a farce. It's a control tactics. It's a mechanism to keep you under the thumb. So I digress, but just be aware, guys, that you've got to look after your own and you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to make sure that your finances are right. And throwing it at these people when you come here, or any country where there's poverty, you still have to maintain a modicum of common sense and rationale. So anyway, I'm done now. I hope this has been of some use to you, but I wanted to pass this on for the sake of this woman and any Filipinos who are watching this, that they also realize that you can talk the talk and walk the walk, but if you don't do it, you're lying to yourselves. You're using Christianity to somehow raise your moral state, but when it comes to the crunch, you don't do it. You actually are left wanting. Thank you, guys. Chris here in Manila.